One of the things I appreciate most about this show is the monsters are taken from real human lore and cultures. Every society on Earth has its stories of monsters or other evil beings, and this show explored many of them. It brought legends to life that most of us dumb Americans might have never heard of without it. I'm one of them. Learning about these myths, legends, and stories is one of the best parts of reviewing the series. And just as a teaser for when we're closer to the end of the series, I'm starting to see why it didn't catch on. We won't be going into that today, but stay tuned.
There are sections of Chicago the guidebooks don't refer to. You can't blame them, really. The guidebook's function is to sell the glamour and excitement of our windy city. And whichever way you dress it up, old age is neither glamorous nor exciting.
Oh, do tell me about it, Carl. Please give me your experience on the subject. Then let me tell you mine.
Roosevelt Heights used to be a plush neighborhood, but the plush neighbors moved uptown, leaving the old people. And old people don't move easily. They become set in their surroundings. Their friends live next door. They've been going to the same store for 25 years. And probably most important of all, they can't afford to relocate, even if they wanted to.
I've been singularly blessed on that score. We could move tomorrow if we wanted to, but we don't want to. We like it right where we are. We can afford it, and frankly, we're in terrific shape. Too many of my fellow seniors aren't. Remember the episode of Misfits of Science with Ray Walston and the others? For too many people my age, that's reality. No food, barely a place to live, and predatory landlords, loan sharks, and other such real monsters eager to take away what little they have. This episode is not about that. It starts out as though it is, but, well, you'll see.
October 14th, one Harry Starman was about to break the law. He'd done it before, many times. Gambling on Friday night was forbidden by Hebrew law. So, to escape his wife and to escape going to temple, Harry and his cohorts took drastic measures.
Drastic to the point of sneaking into the basement of a butcher shop that's overrun with rats so he and his friends can play penny ante poker.
You're late? What's with the late? I stopped to get this. They raised the prices again. You each owe me 50 cents.
You still haven't paid for the bottle I bought last week.
I paid you. You did not. Joe, I leave it to you. You were there. I paid you. I'm telling.
We're gonna play poker or we're gonna schmooze.
Penny ante, penny raises?
Good.
There's just one problem. Everybody forgot glasses. Our friend, you didn't pay me, will go get some.
Buck Feynman, 72 years old, a cantankerous old geezer. No one liked him much. But they allowed him to play poker with them once a week because he was a terrible card player and had been known to lose as much as 75 cents in a single evening.
That's a little less than $5 today, which is at least one meal, possibly two. They're playing down here because Buck took a job as a night watchman. That's why he's wearing the coat. So far, he's had nothing to do but watch the rats, lie to the government so they don't cut his Social Security, don't get me started on that horse manure, and lose the occasional poker game.
Who's there? Looks like, hey, Rabbi Schulman, what are you doing out here? Now, no matter what terrible stories my wife told you, it's still only a penny ante game. Wrong, I know, but it's only penny ante.
Sorry, Buck, that's no rabbi. I don't even think he's Jewish. Kolchak arrives on the scene.
What happened?
Old guy croaked.
You have a nice choice of words. You expect to escape old age?
Okay, an old guy passed on.
Passed on. What did he pass on of?
No, it was old age, boredom.
Old age, boredom.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Press.
I wouldn't if I were you.
Son, I've seen more dead bodies than you've had TV dinners. Oh, yeah. Old age and boredom.
Old age, boredom, and something chewed his face off. As we might expect, the police are blaming the rats. They say the little buggers started chowing down the moment Buck keeled over. That punk cop is about as sympathetic as a bump on a log. How about Buck's pals?
Did any of you gentlemen here know the deceased?
Sure, I know him.
What was his name?
Feynman. Buck Feynman.
His real name was Julius. Buck, he got from the movies.
He loved movies. Hey, you a reporter?
Mm-hmm.
Then how about reporting, for instance, how come the health department don't get their cans down here and clear out the rats?
As a matter of fact, he'll do just that. Thank you, Mr. Starman. Phil Silvers flourished during the 50s. He started out as a singer and stand-up comic in vaudeville and even wrote a hit song for Frank Sinatra. He came into his own with the Phil Silvers Show, which enshrined him as the fast-talking conman and hustler Sergeant Bilko. He was in several hit movies in the 60s, and unlike many stars, he learned how to age gracefully and make it work for him. By this time, he had transformed into a serious character actor and appeared on numerous sitcoms as well as dramas like this. He could leave you rolling on the floor laughing, or he could tear your heart out when he talked about injustices the way he's doing right now.
You know, I understand we've all got problems, and we gotta handle them. Okay, I understand that. But on top of all of that, rats? Rats that chew you up before you even get cold?
Well, how long was he dead?
You see, we were playing poker. I brought some wine, he went to get some glasses, and about a half hour later, we went to look for him. And that's when we found him, right, fellas?
Right.
He went to look for some glasses, and it took you guys half an hour to notice he still wasn't back. Now I want to observe this poker game.
I raised 2 cents. What raise? I didn't bet yet. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. I was getting ready to when you interrupted me. Look, let's count the pot and see whose bet it is, okay? There's 17 cents here. So who cares? What's with the counting? I thought we came here to play poker. Okay, so let's play poker. Whose bet is it? I don't know. Maybe we should count the pot and see. Okay, here, I'll count it. 1, 2, 3.
What did the police say?
Nothing. Nothing official.
Unofficial?
Well, it had to be longer than half an hour for Feynman to be devoured, that the old guys made a mistake and they're getting senile.
Well, it is an old people's neighborhood.
Well, old doesn't have to be synonymous with senility, Tony. How old are you? Just imagine. There's all these old people hanging on to whatever they've got left out of living in this ghetto with flesh-eating rats breeding all around them like rats.
All right. Yeah, put it on the wire.
The wire he talks about all the time is probably the Associated Press. The idea is to have a big sort of clearinghouse where smaller news outfits like INS or the local newspaper can spread a story beyond their own little corner of the world. They have a person whose job it is to take these stories and send them out to the wire service. From there, newspapers, television stations, or any other outfit can pick the story up and publish it. When they do, INS gets paid for it. And that sentence describes Tony Vincenzo in a nutshell.
Well, you're working late tonight, Miss Emily.
Oh, I'm helping out with the advice column. All these poor people, such problems. Look at this.
All those women hanging around him.
We have to sort of infer that the letter writer has women falling all over him, but he's having difficulty producing sufficient results for all concerned. As Kolchak says, poor baby.
I should have such a problem. What are you going to tell him?
Well, I hoped you'd come up with a suggestion.
Me? Okay. You tell him to get his doctor to prescribe a massive course of hormone treatments. And him 73 years old.
Well, okay then. As we can see, Miss Emily started taking a bigger and bigger role in this show, mainly because audiences loved her. Ruth Shoecraft grew up with parents who encouraged her to go into performing, and she started on that course pretty young. But in 1928, at the age of 33, she met a widower named Patrick McDevitt and married him. She left show business to be a domestic engineer. She was perfectly happy until he died suddenly in 1934. She moved to New York and went back into acting, and soon she was on Broadway. She was known for playing the quirky comedy characters like Miss Emily, and her sharp tongue and quick comebacks made her a favorite, including right here. After Kolchak folded, she did a couple of guest appearances and then died in 1976 at the age of 81. Truthfully, I can't picture this series without her. She quickly became a key player in the stories, and audiences ate it up.
I didn't understand it.
What?
The movie.
What's to understand movies nowadays? They take their clothes off. That's all that matters. Jeanette MacDonald and Nelson Eddy, they never took their clothes off.
No kidding, they didn't. Did you ever try to sing and take your clothes off at the same time? I tried it once. It doesn't work very well.
Neither did we, really. Never left the lights on either. Now that I come to think of it, what would it have hurt?
Come on, Miriam.
Well, what would it have hurt? All that running in and out of the bathroom, putting on our pajamas, all that ceremony. Oh, Saul, what were we so ashamed of?
Come on, Miriam.
She makes a fair point, and I love how embarrassed he's getting. Dude, you were born with it and the urge to use it, and that's okay. You pledged your life and your love to her, and it is the most intimate way you can express that. It's as close as two people can be. What's supposed to be shameful about that? I also like the way she keeps digging at him the more he protests. Too bad this doesn't have a happy ending. He insists on taking a shortcut through an alley. She doesn't want to, she's frightened, but he's firm. If necessary, he'll go without her. It's hard not to notice the swastikas all over the walls. Mr. Goldstein there said it's just kids messing around, but neither of them has noticed that there are two different kinds there with their points going opposite directions. The one pointing to the right is the one the Nazis stole and profaned, but with both kinds represented, it's doubtful this has anything to do with Nazis, or else the kids in this neighborhood are directionally challenged.
Good evening, officer.
Saul, I was so silly.
This thing is a shapeshifter, apparently. Kolchak is on the scene.
Someone called in the middle of the night to let me know what had happened, more or less. I say more or less because that someone was too hysterical to make much sense, but the little that I could glean made it hard for me to sleep. Who croaked this time?
Beat it, I'm busy.
Just a name? Come on.
Goldstein, Mr. and Mrs.
Mr. and Mrs. Chewed up like the rest of them.
I'm not a quiz show host. For one thing, they make better money than I do.
For another thing, they know the host asks the questions, he doesn't answer them. So it's just as well you don't seem to have any grasp of the job anyway. And by the way, you're not a quiz show host, but you are a public servant, and Carl is a public. So serve him, kid.
Mr. Kolchak.
Hi, Mrs. Starman. What? Why aren't you home in bed?
Who can sleep in an atmosphere like this? Listen, Mr. Kolchak, I know who did it.
Yeah, sure.
Please, Mr. Kolchak, listen to me. I'm telling you, I know who did it.
Mrs. Starman, would you do me a favor? You're right in my picture.
But you don't understand. I'm the one who called you.
You what?
He lives here and he's losing friends. Maybe it would behoove you to listen to him. It takes Carl way too long to figure that out, but slow as he is, eventually it penetrates.
He lives there. It's his restaurant.
Who?
The man who murdered the Goldsteins, the Hindu.
Why would he want to kill the Goldsteins?
He's a Nazi, that's why.
Harry, excuse me, but you usually don't find Hindu Nazis in any great number.
Look, the Goldsteins were Jewish, right?
Yeah, well, this is a Jewish neighborhood, Harry.
Sure it is. That's why he chalks up those swastikas all over the place.
Even the most arrogant neo-Nazis aren't that blatant about it. If they have swastikas around, it's usually inside their homes. They don't go around painting them all over the neighborhood. With most neighborhoods, they know what would happen to them if they did.
Well, how do you know it's him, Harry?
Look, he moved in here a couple of months ago, just after the rats chewed up old Mrs. Resnick, and that's when the swastikas started to appear. I mean, Mr. Kolchak, what sort of a nut opens an Indian restaurant in a Jewish neighborhood?
Somebody who wants to cook and sell Indian food? Here's a crazy idea. Go ask him. Harry says he saw the guy a few nights before painting swastikas all over the wall around his back door and the area behind his restaurant. Let's take a look.
Well?
Here? Yeah? Okay.
Huh? Was I right or was I right?
You was right. You want to join me?
Are you kidding? I can barely climb the stairs, let alone a fence. I'll wait here.
That way Carl won't see it when the monster gets him.
Hey, Mr. Kolchak, how did you get around there?
Not around there, I'm around here.
Mr. Kolchak!
Told you, I'm a little surprised that Phil Silvers was okay with his character getting killed off so early, but maybe he had another gig to get to.
Okay, Kolchak. Let's have it one more time.
Okay, this will be the fifth one more time.
Oh? You got nothing better to do, have you?
You kidding?
Now, you and Harry climbed over this fence, right?
I went over, Harry stayed outside.
That's how they're trying to trip him up? These guys are terrible at this.
Why did Harry stay outside?
He was an old man. His fence climbing days are over.
Maybe he's afraid of you.
Maybe you ought to have your marbles examined.
Oh, boy. I love a wise guy.
Okay, keep going, Kolchak.
Ooh, we got a rough, tough cop here, folks. He takes off his coat and starts to roll up his sleeves like he's getting ready to do something naughty. Dude, that went out 10 years before you were born, and Kolchak knows it.
Well, let's see. I dropped down over the fence. He was back there. I moved out a little and took a couple of pictures. And then I heard him scream.
What's going on here? Police business, that's what.
Wrong answer, Mr. Rough Tough.
Are you up to it again, Prodman? Weren't you reprimanded for getting a little rough a few years ago?
Oh, me?
You all right, Carl?
He was just giving testimony. Tell him, Kolchak.
No, that's right, Tony. No, just like the officer says.
I'm surprised at you guys. Surprised and very disappointed.
It was nice of that cop to pose perfectly with the rolled up sleeve and fists so he could back up Carl's story. You can bet Tony will be writing some articles of his own. He paid Carl's bail, so let's get out of here.
Let's see here. You are Prodman? And you're a new face around here. What's your name? Come on. What's your name?
Thomas.
Thomas. Thank you very much.
Have you ever wanted to see your name in the papers? Well, this is your lucky day. The official police line is these people died of natural causes and their flesh was stripped by rats before anybody found them. But in Harry's case, A, there were no rats around, and B, there was no time for that to happen. But Kolchak wants to get confirmation from an expert. He tracks down an exterminator who did some work at the INS offices a while back.
A typical urban rat. How long does it take a pack of them to destroy a good-sized carcass of beef?
Sometimes a pack of brown rats will strip a whole beef carcass in 12 minutes flat.
Listen, you're getting spray all over your sandwich. Poison?
Well, what difference does it make? It's all loaded with chemicals and preservatives anyway.
12 minutes for a steer, huh? How about 1 minute for a human-sized carcass?
Oh, if they're deprived of their normal food, they can do wonders. But 1 minute? It just don't seem feasible.
A related question might be, how many rats would it take to do any of those things, and were there that many in the vicinity of the killings? I think we know the answers. His only lead is that Indian restaurant, so let's go see if the food is any good.
There you go, Sahib. Magum bak.
Magum
bak.
What is it?
Beef curry.
Beef curry? Well, it's not bad.
Wait till it starts doing the flaming sword dance in your colon.
I wonder if the boss told him to affect that accent. The American one, I mean.
Strange him opening a place like this.
It's crazy. But he's like that. Let me tell you something. I saw him talking to one of these old neighborhood guys, right? You know what he asks? He asks, does the old guy ever see any of his friends or relatives hanging around at night? The old guy tells him all his friends and relatives are dead. I said, you know what the boss says? The boss says it doesn't make any difference if they're dead or not. Does he see them?
If they're dead, presumably the answer is no, unless one of them is named Jesus. When he hopped over the fence, Kolchak noticed a locked door. Under the pretense of using the bathroom, he'll go investigate that now. It's apparently where Mr. Lakshmi lives. He forgot his key. Our host seems to live a fairly Spartan existence down here. There are no real amenities to speak of. Okay, I was wrong. The Spartans didn't use crossbows. Our man seems to be about to collapse, but Kolchak won't notice any of that. In his mind, arrow in wall is equivalent to run like mad and don't stop.
Well, that's a national disgrace. A man that age having to eke out a living as a busboy.
No, those are East Indian clothes, Tony. He tried to kill me with a crossbow.
A crossbow?
Yeah. Yeah, look here. This is where he lives, see? See those swastikas on the wall?
Wait a minute. A crossbow?
Yeah, for crying out loud, a crossbow. Look, see there, right in his hand? It's kind of blurry, but you can sort of make it out if you squint your eyes a little bit.
A crossbow and swastikas, and he lives in Roosevelt Heights?
Yeah, that's right. Listen, I've been doing a little reading. Apparently, the Nazis did not invent the swastika.
No, as I said, they stole it. The symbol is thousands of years old. It appears in Hindu, Buddhist, and many other religions, and it's a character in Chinese script. In Hindu mythology, which is where we are today, the one pointing to the right represented the sun and all things good, while the one pointing the other way represented evil. Needless to say, the Nazis adopted the wrong one. Anyway, he has the symbols all over his place for protection from evil spirits and the like. They seem to be working for him, but not so much for the people around him.
It's a Hindu sign. It's very old, used to ward off evil spirits.
Ward off evil spirits.
That's right.
You know, in the year 1066, the Saxons lost the Battle of Hastings because their crossbows were no match for the Norman longbows in terms of range and accuracy. And that way, two disparate cultures were melded.
Why, you're absolutely right, Ron, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the topic at hand.
March 3rd, 12:15 a.m. Officers York and Boxman, 12th Precinct, making their normal rounds. They've been told to keep an extra lookout since the events of the past couple of days. It would have been better for them if they hadn't.
What he means by that is they're cruising around when they spot something weird moving in an alley and go check it out.
Sergeant DeVito, I thought he was in the hospital.
Mom?
What did you say?
That's my mom out there.
He won't stop to ask why his mom would be wandering around a random alley at night or why his partner is seeing someone completely different. Fatal mistake. His partner is down and his sergeant is eating him. What was in that coffee?
Sorry, just stay back. Sorry, just stay back. Don't come now. Don't come any closer. Sorry, don't come any closer.
This is getting out of hand. Kolchak needs to consult an expert on Hindu mythology. This guy runs a high-end antique shop and is the city's foremost authority on the subject.
A Rakshasa is an evil spirit who can possess a man's mind and delights in the consumption of human flesh.
Really? Well, I had a run-in with an old Indian, or maybe it was a Pakistani, I don't know. Anyway, he tried to kill me with a crossbow. Now, is it possible that he's a Rakshasa?
Think, man, think. I just told you a Rakshasa is a spirit, a myth. They're not real.
He's giving a pretty accurate description of the Rakshasa in Hindu lore. They could often be seen on active battlefields, gorging themselves on the dead and encouraging the men to kill each other some more.
However, crossbow is the method prescribed in legend by which one may destroy a Rakshasa with arrows blessed by the divine Brahma himself.
Well, then this old man was trying to kill a Rakshasa, or thought he was. Well, why would he take a shot at me?
The chap's actions seem understandable to me somehow.
Needless to say, Carl has been himself. Our man is trying to help actual customers, and Kolchak is chasing them away with talk of eating people. He directs Carl to a wall hanging that might be of interest.
Ah, yes, I remember her well.
Unlike the boggarts in Harry Potter, the Rakshasa does have a natural form that can be seen under the right circumstances. And that's it. They do well to make like a boggart and always look like something else. He writes the story and Tony throws it in the trash. For a change, Kolchak isn't focused on getting attention through the story. He's trying to save lives, but he's going about it the wrong way. He needs to write about a serial killer stalking the streets of the Heights, preying on older people. Do yourself a favor and stay in at night. Evil spirits that look like your mom aren't usually that welcome in your average newspaper. Back to the restaurant to talk to our crossbow marksman.
Great Brahma, creator of all creatures, to you I commend my unworthy soul.
Sir? No, wait. I'm not the Rakshasa. I'm the Kolchak. Carl Kolchak.
Please, I wish to apologize for last night.
When you consider his life story, it makes sense.
For 60 years now, I have roamed the world seeking and destroying the Rakshasa wherever they appear.
Have you ever gotten any?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. A few.
Unlike a lot of monsters of different lore, the Rakshasa were somewhat of a community. There were lots of them. Our boy here is sort of a precursor to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. To be quite frank, it's impossible to guess how many shows were influenced by this short-lived romp into the supernatural. An obvious one is X-Files, but there are so many more, I don't want to try and count them. Its reach extended way beyond its little 20 episodes, and its sound still reverberates today. But right now, we have a Rakshasa to defeat. Lakshi says, I have to pass the crossbow and the blessed arrows to someone honest and brave. And there's only one other person in the room. Kolchak thinks he's crazy, but for all his shenanigans, Carl really is those things. When it comes down to what's important, he's as honest as the day is long. And how many monsters has he already gone out to face on his own because somebody needed to do it? If that's not brave, there ain't no such animal. See, the difference is those who really have those things don't have to go around telling everybody they have them. They just live it.
No, take them. They're blessed. Don't let yourself be fooled. He will present himself to you as someone you know and trust. But you must shoot. Shoot, or your flesh will be ripped apart.
I got one problem, Pop. There isn't anyone that I trust.
Then maybe you'll be that rare person who gets to face it in its natural form. Better him than me. Carl really wants to get him to a doctor, but Lakshi realizes he's dying and nothing can stop it. His final task is to hand the crossbow off to somebody who will kill this thing. That's all he wants. Let's go honor his memory.
Stop, don't you come nearer.
Anybody want to guess who it is? I'm pleased to say I knew right away.
Emily?
And now the show is going to make a bit of a continuity mistake.
Well, I just had to follow you. You know all about the haunts of criminals, and I wanted to have some real-life research for my novel.
The real Emily told him earlier that she's writing a detective novel, but that's not important right now. The one thing the Rakshasa has not done up to now is speak. When people tried to talk to it, it just walked toward them with its arms out like it wanted a hug. Suddenly it's talking. If we're going to be consistent, either it talks to everybody or it talks to nobody. In any case, it's still shuffling toward Kolchak. He's warned her multiple times to stop.
Carl.
I mean it, Emily. I really mean it.
I'm frightened down in this bad place.
Emily?
The old man said he could feel the Rakshasa nearby waiting to pounce. I hope he lived long enough to feel that so he can go out with a smile.
I'd like to have told Miss Emily that the Rakshasa appeared to me as her. According to the legend, it meant that I trusted her. But then I would have also had to tell her that I shot a steel arrow straight into her. I don't think she would have appreciated that.
You never know. She might use it in her novel. But she's not thinking about writing tonight.
Why, Miss Emily, you look absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. I have an appointment.
Really? A business or pleasure?
Business.
Miss Cowles.
Oh,
I'm Mr. Cartwright.
Oh, Mr. Cartwright.
Business, eh? I suppose he's your stockbroker.
Mr. Cartwright, Mr. Kolchak.
How do you do, sir?
My pleasure.
It must be very nice working with such a great lady. Allow me. She gives the best advice, even medical advice.
Oh, I'm sure.
She's right on the button.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Cartwright. Oh, hormones. Oh, Mr. Cartwright. Good luck, Emily.
Thank you.
Mr. Cartwright couldn't care less if she has any stocks to break. Whatever. Then again, given what we're learning about Emily, there's a good chance he could end up being the one who breaks something. Sneaking into the basement of a Busher television stations. Good television. What? He's having. And her shark. Good grief. It's a high-end. A high-end voice break. Okay. He's told. Okay, I can spit this line out.